Hello, my name is Chelsea Jewett, and I am here interviewing Ray Richardson on July 1st, 2021, on behalf of the Seymour Library and the Cayuga Museum and their work with the New York Heritage Project on the Oral History Project. How are you today, Ray?
Doing all right. Just hanging in
Okay.
there.
So the first question that I would like to ask you is, when and where were you born?
So I was born in Brooklyn, New York in September of '89.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your family? Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have two brothers. I'm the youngest. I have two older brothers and an older sister.
Can you describe your relationship with your siblings a little bit growing up?
I'm the youngest boy, so I mean, pretty much know how that goes. I'm the bottom of the barrel, I guess. My brothers looked after me, but I was definitely, I was the smallest, so they kind of, tried to take advantage, but they toughened me up, made sure I was tough. My sister was a lot older, but she was basically our designated babysitter. But me and my brothers, growing up, we had a pretty close relationship. It was just us and my dad until my mother passed away when I was 10. So after that, it was just really just me, my brothers, and my dad.
Can you just describe your relationship with your father and what it was like growing up with him?
My relationship with my dad, I mean, me and my dad were close. We had a very close knit family. It was really just us in my childhood. My dad was very militant, very strict. He was big on discipline. Uh, we were pretty sheltered growing up. We didn't allow us to really go anywhere or, socialize outside of like school or sports. Uh, yeah, like, I mean, he was a regular dad. We didn't have a whole lot. He's disabled, so he didn't work growing up. So we didn't have a whole lot of money or food or anything like that, but he did, what he could. But the things I remember about my dad is, growing up as a child, he was very strict. He didn't let anything slide. The smallest things we would get in trouble for. But he always made sure that we were good. So it's not really much more you could ask for. We didn't have the greatest stuff, but he did what he could.
That's very fair. Um, so did your family have any specific or unique traditions in your household growing up?
Unique traditions? Not really. Um, Not outside the norm. No regular holidays, stuff like that. Like when I was young, like 5, 6 years old, when I first moved to Auburn, every summer we would go back down to the city to visit family. That's really the only like thing I can think of that we look forward to. Just going back and seeing all my friends and family down in Brooklyn. And then once my mom passed away, that stopped. So after that, it was really just closed doors. You go to school, come home. Once I was old enough to play sports, I'd go to school, go to practice, come home, do homework, clean the house. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Um, did your family follow any specific religion? And if you did, are you still following that religion?
When I first moved here from Brooklyn, we were Muslim. We practiced Muslim, and then we converted to Christianity. My mother was a pastor, and we were very religious when I was a child. I went to church almost every day. And then once my mom passed away again, all that stopped. So I don't remember the last time I've been to church. I'm still a religious person. I don't attend church. I do believe in God, and I do consider myself a Christian, but I'm not like heavy on faith and stuff like that. So, and my dad never, like, once my mom passed away, he never made us do any of that stuff. So it kind of just dwindled out.
Okay. What was school like growing up for you?
Yeah. So I did very well in school. Growing up, I had friends. But it wasn't like I didn't have traditional friendships because, like I said, like my dad didn't allow us to socialize outside of school. So I only saw my friends at school. And like I said, we didn't have a lot. We didn't have the nicest things. So I got picked on a lot for clothes that I wore. I didn't have name brand clothes. I wore a lot of the same clothes every day. I didn't stink or anything like that, but it was just like, you would see me in the same shirt or the same pair of pants or something like that every day. But as far as like actual academics, I was very good at school. I always had good grades. I was always on honor roll or high honor roll. My dad made sure that, me and my brothers took care of school. And then once we were old enough, to play sports, I played basketball for a little bit when I was a kid. That was my favorite sport. And then one year I didn't make the basketball team, I think like my freshman year of high school, and my brother was running cross country and track and field. And when I didn't make the basketball team, my father made me start running track and field. He said, you're not going to just sit around the house. You're either going to work or you're going to play a sport, but you're not just going to sit around the house. So they kind of made me run track, and then I got very good at it. It's pretty much what I'm known for today.
Okay. So during your teenage years, did you hold any jobs?
Did I hold any jobs?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a job as soon as I could. This is one of my dad's rules. If you anything you want, you got to get out and get it yourself. So once we're old enough to work, I got a job as soon as I could. I think I got my first job when I was like 14, washing dishes at a local restaurant here in Auburn. It's called Ricky's. It's now Forks and Spoons. It's an Asian restaurant now. But it used to be Ricky's restaurant, a nice Greek Italian restaurant. I started working there, washing dishes after school, after practice. And then from there, I never stopped working. Once I had that job until I was 17, and then I started working with the disabled community. Then I've just been there ever since. I've also had other jobs. Like I worked at Walmart when I was 18. I worked at Courier Plastics for a while. Trying to think what else I did. I did home health care work for a while. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. So after high school, did you go to college or did you go straight into the work field? And how was that like for you?
Right after high school, I went to Oswego University, Oswego State, for a year, and then college it didn't go well my first year. I flunked out. And then I was out of school for a while. I was working a few jobs, just maintaining myself. I had my own apartment and stuff like that. And then I decided that I was going to go back to school to finish my bachelor's. And then I ended up going to Buffalo State, where I finished my bachelor's in 2014.
And what did you get your bachelor's in?
Business administration. Originally, I went to Oswego in their accounting program to be an accountant, but that didn't work out. But I still stayed in the business major. So I graduated from Buffalo State with my business administration bachelor's.
Okay. And then after college, what were some of the first jobs that you held to now?
I've had the same job. Well, not the same job. So when I first went to college, I worked in residential care. So I worked in like IRAs and group homes. And I had that job, periodically in and out of college, coming home on breaks and stuff like that. Then once I graduated, I was working in day programs. And then from there, it just went up. I was in a day program. Then I was in a respite program. And then I became a service coordinator. And now I'm still a service coordinator, but they changed the title. It's care manager now.
Okay. So going back a little bit, you mentioned that you were born in Brooklyn, and you relocated. What was your reasoning for moving to Auburn?
Just family issues. My family was going through some things, and we just needed to get out of the environment that we were in.
That's very fair. So what would you have to say is your favorite thing about living in Auburn, and what would be the least favorite thing about living in Auburn for you?
My favorite thing about living in Auburn, it's fairly quiet. It's not as big as the city, so it's easy to navigate. Um, it's still a nice small city, but you don't have to worry about a lot of the violence and nonsense that goes on down in the city. Well, not too much anymore, but back then. My least favorite thing about Auburn is that it may be a bit too small. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's in everybody's business. I don't really like that. Just growing up, like I said, we were very sheltered and everything stayed in house. So I'm not used to people, knowing my every move and knowing what I'm doing. I'm not really comfortable with that.
That's very fair. Um, so if what is something that you would have to say that Auburn, like growing up in Auburn, contributed to who you are now?
What about growing up in Auburn contributed to who I am now?
Yes.
Um, I mean, everything. I pretty much, grew up here, for the most part of my life. I don't really know how to answer that.
No worries. Do you feel like there's anything missing from the kind of histories of Auburn in terms of misrepresentation and minority groups within Auburn? And if there is misrepresentation, do you think there is a better way to improve representation of minority groups within Auburn?
Well, yeah, I feel like, growing up here and going to school here, they don't really teach you about the history of here. Auburn does have a rich history in um, minorities, or what's the term that they use now? I can't remember the term that they use, but yeah, Auburn does have a rich history, and they don't necessarily teach you that in schools here, which is very odd to me. They teach you, like, when you're in social studies class, they teach you, there's a little snippet on William H. Seward, or a little paragraph on Harriet Tubman, but they don't really go into the depths of what they actually did and what they actually accomplished for the city of Auburn. As far as I know, they don't do the Harriet Tubman home tour anymore. Um, and I don't think I've ever done a tour of the William H. Seward House. So, I mean, they could definitely do more as far as teaching people about Auburn and what's here in history.
That's very fair. Um, so changing up the topic a little bit, and going towards more the coronavirus pandemic. Um, my first question is, how has the pandemic affected you personally?
It hasn't really affected me much, other than like socially, the wearing the mask, going to grocery stores and stuff like that. A lot of community events and sporting events and stuff like that we can't do anymore. But as far as me personally and my home life and everyday life, it really hasn't affected me at all. None of my friends have gotten, well, I mean, a lot of my friends have gotten it, but they haven't like been deathly ill. I haven't lost anybody to it or anything like that. God forbid.
Very fair, very fair. Um, so before we wrap up, um, are there and is there anything that you would like to add to this interview that you would like anybody viewing this video to see or hear?
No, nothing that I can think of.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sitting down and interviewing with me. I enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you.